Okay, well, hello everybody. Welcome to Healthy Joints, Healthy Life with Dr. Dada. For those who don't know me, I help people with joint pain become pain-free and people with autoimmune disease get their immune system back on track. So I have an amazing guest for you who's also my dear friend, Dr. Cheruba Prabakar. She is an OBGYN, practices in Oakland, California, and she does minimally invasive surgery. I am going to let her take the stage and talk to us today about why she does what she does and her passion for her work.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Dada, for having me on. This is a pleasure. As you mentioned, I am Dr. Prabakar, a board certified OBGYN. And after my residency, I did a fellowship in minimally invasive surgery in Brooklyn, New York. And this is a time when I learned how to do very complex surgeries through tiny holes in the body. And so I routinely operate on women for ovarian cysts, fibroids, endometriosis, pelvic pain, and I also do hysterectomies all through a few small incisions, and patients go home the same day. So it's wonderful. And as I progressed in my career over the last decade, I then also got really interested in menopause and sexual medicine. And so I'm certified through the North American Menopause Society, and I help women through this transition of perimenopause and menopause. Should I take hormones or should I not? What are the risks? How does it affect my general health and the other diseases that I have? And so these are very fascinating conversations that I have with my patients. And I practice in Lafayette, California, in the Bay Area. I run my own practice, and we're coming up on 2 years. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about menopause, fibroids, and how all of that, is connected to what you do in rheumatology.
I love it. Thank you. And just to be clear, Dr. Prabhakar is a very successful OBGYN. And if you read her reviews and hear what people say about her, you know that she is the number one go-to fibroid doctor. So we are so grateful to have you on today, just taking your time out of a very busy schedule. But we are going to jump right into it. I do want to talk about a little bit about fibroids, and then we're going to go into menopause, which is a kind of a hot topic everywhere. And just can you tell us what are fibroids? How do they develop? Why do they develop? Do we know?
We don't know. That is the $1 million question. Many women have fibroids. About 80% of women will be diagnosed with a fibroid by the time they're 50. And for women of color, we will likely be diagnosed with a fibroid even to about 90% by the time we're 50. So it's a really big problem. And many women don't know that they even have it until there's a problem. And so we wish we knew why they formed. The fibroids are smooth muscle tumors of the uterus. They're almost always benign. And so it's not so much that, oh my goodness, I have something terrible, but it can affect our lives in many ways.
And so can affect our lives in many ways. Can you tell us how many ways can it affect our
Oh,
lives?
yes. So fibroids can cause heavy bleeding, which is probably the number one reason I see patients. It can also cause pelvic pain, pressure. If the uterus actually sits right behind the bladder. And so the fibroids, as they grow, can put pressure on the bladder. Women feel like they have to run to the bathroom all the time. They're peeing frequently. They roll over in bed and they feel this bulge. So those are some of the symptoms. And then for other women, it can cause infertility because these fibroids are taking up the space where a baby would form. And so they're trying to get pregnant. They have miscarriages. Nothing is working. And then, they go see an OBGYN, get a scan, and then realize they have a lot of fibroids. And so it can really affect the quality of life in terms of fertility, but like I said, also bleeding, pain, pressure. Many women have to plan their whole lives around, when they're going to get their period, can't go on vacation, can't wear white pants. So it's a big problem.
It's a big problem. Yeah. So it seems like you can have fibroids all the way into almost menopause then.
Yeah, once you have fibroids, they rarely just go away until about menopause when they start to shrink. they may not ever fully go away, but without the hormonal stimulation from your ovaries, without that extra estrogen, without estrogen stimulation, fibroids often just start to shrink and become less bothersome. So certainly the bleeding goes away, because once you hit menopause, there's no more bleeding. But even those symptoms like the pain and pressure will often go away. So some patients who are in their late 40s will say, well, I'm almost close to menopause, so I'm just going to wait this out and not do anything. Versus if you're in your 30s or early 40s or even your mid 40s, well, you got a few years to go. And so then that's when we start talking about, okay, what should we do and how should we treat it?
Yeah, that's for sure. So then it takes us right into menopause. Well, that's at least maybe potentially one good thing that happens in menopause. But with with menopause, I think generally most of us are kind of feeling a little bit of the sting. And the big question is about, hormonal treatments for menopause. And, we can even just start is what's your take on that? And I know we probably don't even have enough time to kind of talk in depth about the benefits versus the risks. But, let's say, let's be practical. So let's say a 55-year-old woman walks in your door and is really kind of dealing with the postmenopausal symptoms. Is that something that you address at all?
Yes, absolutely. I love this question, and I want to put out a few pearls about menopause and hormones for everyone listening, watching. So, number one, hormones are generally very safe. There's a lot of fear around hormones. Oh no, my mother had breast cancer, my grandmother had breast cancer, I shouldn't take it. There's a lot of fear, misconceptions, fake news out there about menopause and hormones. But generally, hormones are safe. Now, you should talk to your physician about, your particular condition, but the things that people are most afraid of are, breast cancer. That's what patients always tell me. So I want everyone to know that having a family history of breast cancer is not a reason that you can't be on hormone therapy, unless you carry a specific gene that puts you at very, very high risk of breast cancer. But we know that almost all breast cancer is random. You may not have a family history and you may suddenly get it, or you may have a family history but you may not get it. And so the risk, hormones are not going to cause breast cancer. So I just wanted to put that out there, because many people are afraid. And as you said, starting in the early 50s, women are really suffering hot flashes, night sweats, trouble sleeping, mood changes, just brain fog, painful sex. There's just so many things that are going on, and we could all use the treatment. We could all use the hormones. And so really advocate for yourself and make sure you're seeking out a physician who can go over all these options with you. And we have so many different options of how to use the hormones, what type of hormone to use, what should I use, a pill, should I use a patch? So there's all these things. So we've got a lot of options. And so I think my main message to everybody is it's really safe. Your individual doctor will go through your particular risks, which for, right off the bat, I'm thinking, people who smoke, for example, are not a great candidate. But if you're a fairly average, healthy person, overall, they're safe and they do not cause breast cancer. And so those are things to remember.
So good. So while it doesn't cause breast cancer, you did bring up one concern. So you kind of saying, hey, because I would assume that, okay, so smoking increases your risk of cardiovascular disease, right? So is there any concern with hormone replacement therapy then contributing to that? Because that would be, I guess, or what is the reason why smokers are not good candidates for hormone replacement therapy?
Yes. So when we talk about hormone therapy in menopause, we are giving back estrogen and progesterone as well if you have a uterus. But estrogen is the main hormone that we're giving back, and estrogen can cause, in general, clots. So estrogen is what we say in medicine, a procoagulant, or something that can form clots. So if you're already at high risk for forming clots, so if you're morbidly obese, you have a job that involves a lot of sitting or, maybe flying. That is another risk factor. You have uncontrolled high blood pressure, you smoke, you've got diabetes, you have high cholesterol, all of those things are already, with or without hormones, risk factors for getting clots, getting a stroke. So if you already have those things, we don't want to then add estrogen on top of that. And so that's kind of the reason. So those are the overall the risk factors that we go over with patients. And some may have one or two of those things. But if you have many, and that can definitely pose a problem. So while it's safe for the average person who's overall healthy, these are the things that we tease out during your visit to see if you're a good candidate.
Okay, so very important. So from our standpoint, like as rheumatologists, one of the issues will be people with lupus, right? So people with lupus sometimes have something called antiphospholipid antibodies, increases their risk for blood clots. So perhaps they may not be ideal candidates.
Correct.
And some of the medications, right, that we use, there's a medication called Wingrove that we use for a lot of arthritis, psoriasis, and psoriatic arthritis. And there's now something else called Xeljanz, where there may be an increased risk for blood clots in those people. So maybe those are people that may not be ideal candidates. And again, should have just an in-depth discussion with risks and benefits, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Before
So
taking the next step.
With those antibodies, estrogen is not a great idea. But remember, we also have non-hormonal medications for hot flashes now. And so we have those options. We still have progesterone that we could give for sleep issues. So there's almost, we can attack it from different angles and still get some relief for these symptoms from perimenopause.
And definitely improve their quality of life.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is the whole point. Let me ask a question about hormonal treatment for postmenopausal symptoms and the person who has fibroids, like, because that's what we started with. And can the hormonal treatments worsen the fibroids, for instance? Is it, I guess, the word estrogen does not mean that every single part of the body gets the same amount. So, and you're also telling us that, hey, there are also different treatments for the different postmenopausal symptoms. And so, but generally speaking, I think the question that one of the patients asked that in advance of this talk is, will hormone replacement therapy, as broad as that is, specifically affect that person's fibroids? Any thoughts on this?
Yeah. In short, the answer is no. It is true that estrogen stimulates fibroids. And so I talk a lot to my patients about an anti-inflammatory diet, cutting out processed foods, and all of these, hormones from even animal products that we eat and stuff. And so really trying to have a very, very clean diet is important, because I really do think extra estrogen, and this has been shown, can stimulate fibroids. And so that's why our treatments are often anti-estrogen products. Now, when we think about hormone therapy, the amount of estrogen we're using is a fraction, a very, very, very minute amount compared to your traditional birth control pill, for example. And so that kind of estrogen is not going to then make your fibroids grow. So it is true that estrogen stimulates fibroids, but not at this dose.
Yeah, and I see that also sometimes our patients are trying to treat osteoporosis with their topical hormone replacement therapy. And it's the same answer I give them is, yes, it is estrogen, but it's not going to be adequate to really target the bone to actually improve the bone density. That what we need to kind of treat the symptoms that you're having is not in the same category as the impact that we're trying to get. So whether it's positive or negative, we're not really going to be able to get that full impact. Because we're not using really sky-high doses of estrogen to treat your postmenopausal symptoms. So you don't get the negatives, but you also don't get that, when I was younger, I was building great bones. Now I have this topical estrogen and all will be well with my bones. Not necessarily so.
Correct. Yes, we certainly cannot use it to treat osteoporosis. To the point about bones, that the time when I do encourage somebody to go on hormone therapy when they're sort of on the fence is if they have a family history of osteoporosis or they have osteopenia, low bone mass, then we say, okay, maybe it's going to help. Again, it's not going to reverse everything back to normal, or once you have osteoporosis, it's not going to take you backwards. But it certainly cannot hurt those patients, their bones. So that's what I say.
Well, Dr. Prabakar, this has been really good, but I need to get a story out of you. Can you give me a story of a patient that had come to your clinic and had a really good outcome, just so that we can identify with kind of how things have been going?
Yes. Let me talk about a patient with, for hormones and menopause, actually. So I see a lot of patients who come to me for the third opinion, fourth opinion. They've been to their doctors already and they've heard different stories, about whether they should be on, hormone therapy or not. And so I did have a patient who was suffering, a lot. And she had already seen a couple of doctors and she said, no one's giving her hormone therapy, her internal medicine, some other gynecologist. And then I really didn't understand, why. And then I was combing through her chart, making sure I'm not missing something that, somebody else had picked up and declined hormone therapy, but she didn't really have anything. And so we put her on hormone therapy and I saw her for her a 3-month follow-up. And she said, I really, where have you been all my life? Like, I wish I had not wasted these last 4 to 5 years, just feeling miserable. And I think that just was so heartwarming to hear that it really, really positively impacted her. And I think for many women, this is a critical time of our lives. Kids are often going to college. We have to take care of parents. We are at the top of our own careers, and we need to feel well, and we need to be on top of our game. And this is not the time to have the brain fog and the lack of sleep.
Ain't
And
nobody got time for that.
no, yeah, nobody has time for that. You've never had time for that, but especially now. And so it was just a good lesson to just encourage everybody to advocate for yourself. Maybe one doctor
Yeah,
says something, but don't be afraid to get a second opinion. And I tell my own patients
yeah.
that I said, this is my opinion, but feel free to get a second opinion. It's always good to get a couple of those before you finally make a decision.
Yeah, and there's so much negative media out there, right? I always say bad news travels faster than good. So thank you so much for that impact that you had on that patient, and just making her life much better after meeting you. So Dr. Prabakar, I know that your time is very valuable, and I'm so glad you dedicated this time to us this morning. But for people listening, if this video has been helpful, please like it and share it. But Dr. Prabakar, how can people find you?
Yes, so I am in the Bay Area in California. And so if you're a patient anywhere in California, you can see me in person or via televisit, to, address your concerns, fibroids, general gynecology, or menopause and hormones. If you're not in California and you say, well, but I would love to just talk to her about, this topic and get more information, I do do a coaching program. It's just a one session, so you can contact my office and we can set that up. And so I can give you a lot of information about all these things. And so you can connect with me, either way, and we can work together. And I'll give you my website. It is GYN.com. And you can find me on social media on TikTok, YouTube, as well as Instagram at TheFibroidDoc.
Okay, the Fibroid Doc. Yes, I would tell you her coaching program is second to none. So if you need that, she's going to give you everything that you need to be empowered to really take the next action steps to make sure that you are living your healthiest version. So thank you so much, Dr. Prabakar. Thank you everybody for listening. Don't forget, share the video, like the video. If it helps, take good care.
Thank you so much.